Let's talk about transfer number 4. So I told y'all I was able to do my monitoring appointments locally, which was incredible. And she told me to go in on either day 11 or 12. So I scheduled it for day 12 of my cycle to get my monitoring ultrasound, because last time, day 12, I wasn't growing fast enough and I had to go back in on day 13. So I'm like, I'll go as late as possible. Experience, like, I'll save y'all the story. Nobody knew what was going on. They were like, we don't usually do this here. And I was like, but whoever I called to schedule this with said that y'all take IVF patients. But the nurse was like, the first nurse was like, I have no idea what you need. And I was like about to cry, because that's it. Like, if we don't get the monitoring appointment done that day. But she was just filling in, and so the other nurse was like, we've been getting more and more of these appointments. We're just not really staffed for it. They measure everything. I go and get labs done, messaged me, and they were like, my doctor in San Antonio, and she was like, after looking at your ultrasound and your numbers and your labs, we're going to cancel this cycle because there's no way to tell. And that was the thing too. When the lady was measuring me and telling me what the numbers were, I was like, wow, that sounds like bigger than ever. Like, last time my number was at like a 6, and this time it was like 8.1 for my lining. And then when it came to the follicle size, I feel like always for follicles, I'm always like just not that big. Even throughout all the IUIs and all of that, like, it just was always like 18, 19. And she was like, well, this one's measuring at a 25. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm about to ovulate. Like, I'm going to need to do my trigger shot that night. But the doctor got back to us and was like, based on this, and this is where I'm kind of frustrated. She was like, we don't know if that's a cyst or a follicle because you didn't do a baseline appointment. And I was like, well, why didn't I do a baseline appointment? Like, why didn't you tell me to do that? Because I have in the past, well, not last cycle. So I don't understand, but she's like, because we didn't do a baseline on day like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is when you usually do the baseline. We don't know. And I was like, and even as the girl was measuring me, also I had to put Miss Wanda in by myself. I've never had to do that before. She was like, insert this like a tampon. And I kind of struggled, not gonna lie. And she was like, do you typically have cysts? Which I thought was a kind of a weird question. I was like, no. Why? What you seeing in there? Like, are you seeing multiple things? And then I don't know, like maybe the size, but I was talking to my other friends because I was like, do you think she did it wrong? Like, do you think she didn't know? And my friend was like, no, there's really no way to mess that up. Like, if she's using the machine, she knows how to use it and she knows what she's looking for. I was like, okay. And she showed me, she like turned the thing. I was like, wow, it looks pretty dang big. But I'm just not convinced that it was actually a cyst. But also, I am grateful that the clinic in Texas treats these embryos so preciously that they're like, if anything is off, like, we're just not gonna do it. We're just not gonna move forward with it. So I bawled my eyes out. Nathan came home from work. He was like, just there for me, and are basically now back to square one. So my protocol is to call on cycle day 1, have a baseline appointment, which I still don't understand why I didn't before. And maybe because I have always been fine. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I was talking to another friend who's going through IVF right now too, and she was like, how did you get away with not doing a baseline? I was like, I don't know. So I call, do my baseline, then I go back in on day 10, which is interesting. But as long as I'm here, I'm like, I could go as many times as you want. And I am going to go to an actual like OB here. It's things that I wish I'd never had to think about, never had to worry about, but it is what it is.